morning, everybody. Cowboy, 8:30 a.m. EST, and I was up. I was up late looking at markets, talking markets. Went live on a show, not on this channel. Was on a different channel, and I can tell you, markets are pretty wild right now. That's for sure. I would be very, very careful. Very careful with what's going on. Let me go ahead and bring up the charts, and we'll just go into it. So it's finally the rest of the world is catching up to Algo Factory, and you're starting to hear people outside of people like us who have been talking about this for like all better part of a year. We've been talking about the carry trade, the JPY carry trade. Been talking about it privately for at least 6 months, if not a year, and on Rogue, Algo Factory, and now you're starting to see people on Twitter talking, or X, whatever, talking about the carry trade. So the the non the people who are just not quite up with it are starting to understand what's going on. The crypto people talking about it are ahead of a lot of people still. Most people just know number go down in the stock market and in crypto, but this is pretty destructive. And to make it very simple, the Japanese yen was being devalued to hold up a lot of the world's stock markets. And with that came the devaluation of the Japanese yen. So the Japanese yen was being devalued in order to do that. So the way that worked was people were, the Bank of Japan was just creating really cheap Japanese yen and keeping the interest rates really, really low, like negative real rates. And then what they would do is they would use that cheap Japanese yen to buy other assets around the world. And this is an extremely simplified version of what was been going on, right? Now, that cheap Japanese yen was used as a liquidity solution in the end to hold up the equities markets. And they have pivoted over at the Bank of Japan a month ago. And we talked about, I've been doing videos about this left and right. So you look at my channel, you're going to see it. And if you haven't been watching my channel, if you have not subscribed, you're messing up, because I've been talking about this on here for the better part of a month, if not 2 or 3. And last month they pivoted. They did the first rate hike in like 20 years. And then they just did another rate hike on Friday, or it was Thursday or Friday. And what was interesting is that price moved in the opposite direction that you would expect, where against the dollar and against everything else, the Japanese yen actually got weaker despite this hike in the rate. And then starting last week, they just started nuking it, man. They just started crushing the currency upwards. And against every other currency, the Japanese yen got really strong. And you'll notice that the dollar, the Dixie, the dollar against other currencies actually started to get weak. So we're going to look at this on the charts. But first, we're going to take a look at the SP 500. Now, crypto, everything's nuking. Everything's going down right now. And a lot of that's going to be because traditional finance is going down. When traditional finance takes a hit, everything takes a hit, including gold. You must understand, and we saw this in the COVID crash, that when traditional finance takes a hard hit, even your quote unquote safe havens are going to take a hit short term. Now, long term, they might do well. That all really depends on how everything is repaired or how everything is shifted, how they plug the hole left by this cheap Japanese yen money machine, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at a high time frame SP 500 chart. I want to start in the equities market, and then we'll take a look at Bitcoin and crypto. But everybody needs to understand that the equities market is what's going to matter right now, right? As long as equities, the stock market, as long as the stock market continues to fall, you're going to see everything else fall. And you're looking at a pretty big dip for a short period of time. Now, the current dip right now that has started just a few weeks ago and has really, really accelerated over the past several days, the futures market was toasted overnight. You're looking at the futures market right now. The market has not opened yet. When the stock market opens, we could see something brutal happen, okay? So let me do some measurements really quick, all right? Now, so far, you've had a 10% correction in the SP 500, and it's happened over a 3-week period. The last time we had a 10% correction, it happened pretty quick, right? It happened like in about the same period of time. Actually, 5 weeks is about how long it took to happen. And then it was back to like a few percent correction. It was back to like a 4% correction within another month and a half. And it took another, let me see how long this was. Let me see, 10% correction. By the time it broke 15%, you're talking about like a few months, right? So you had from January 3rd, the beginning, all the way until like May. So it took 4 or 5 months to break beyond, 15% and be a serious correction. And that was back in 2022 when the COVID money printing bubble crashed out. And that was a 25% correction in the markets, right? And that lasted the better part of a year. Now, there's a lot of talk on the news about recession, right? And by the way, just to look at these other corrections, the last time we had a correction in this severe in this short period of time was the COVID crash, right? And the COVID crash ended up where they really did a V-shaped correction. So you can see it right here. And this is back in 2020. And I made a killing on this. But this is a 35% correction that happened back in February of 2020. And it took about 5 weeks. And then the correction was a V-shaped correction upwards. And it reclaimed its highs after about, what is this, 158 days. So what is that, 22 weeks? So it took about 4 months, something like that, 4 or 5 months for it to reclaim what it lost in 5 weeks. So we might see that, but guess what happens 4 months from now? It's called an election. So if this gets cut short, even if it takes another couple weeks, and this is a very steep correction, they have several months to run this back up. The question is whether or not it's going to be allowed to happen, right? And this goes into my theory, like it can go either way on this. So I'm only assuming that this has to do somewhat with the election. It could be not anything to do with the election, right? But let's just say for a moment that what's going on is an attempt to put one or another person in office. Because if the market continues to fall, and it fell under Biden's watch, even though it's not really anything to do with Biden. And I know a lot of people who don't like Biden. I'm one of them. I really don't like him, but this kind of stuff isn't to do with like a president, right? This is just international money stuff. But the public doesn't understand that. And they're going to blame Biden because it happened under his watch, right? So if this really, really tanks and is not brought back up by the time of the election, it's going to take some serious who knows what to keep Trump from getting in. Let's just say you believe in, fair elections and everything, right? Well, then everyone's going to vote for Trump. And if you don't believe that elections are fair, then it would be very difficult to make them so unfair that he can't get in, because the harder, the more people want Trump in, the more tricks they have to pull. And I'm not saying anything about cheating officially. I didn't use the word cheat. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about, and anybody listening can read between the lines. So understand that the farther this drops and does not come back up by the time of the election, then it's going to be very, very difficult under any circumstance to keep Trump out. And this might be some kind of way to put him in. And the other end of it is if we see a COVID type correction and rebound where price for the SP 500 runs down and then comes back up, maybe it runs down to who knows where and then comes back up over a period of time, you might see a move like this. Very realistic. Could happen just like this. And if that happens, then it's going to be a lot easier to put whoever runs against Trump into office. I'm assuming Harris, maybe the replacer, I don't know. But that would be, pretty hard to keep her out, man. We had this huge correction and then the market reached new highs and everything's good and they saved it and whatever, right? And this could be all just about the narrative. It could be a lot of things. It could, be that Japan simply wanted to protect their currency and they saw something around the corner they didn't like with a continued devaluation of their currency. So they decided to take action. It could be as simple as that. We got V the Guerilla in the house. How are you, sir?
Yeah, here I am thinking it's going to be a quiet doldrum of a summer, and all this thing starts popping off. Nikkei's, I wake up to text messages. I wake up to the skies falling, and of
Yeah,
course, it's been nonstop. And I apologize for my lateness getting on today, folks. It's been nonstop. I got guys
I
over.
like to comment on my
Hmm.
like fortitude and not bothering you about this yesterday.
Oh, sure. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
It is crazy.
I was on like a talk show last night at 3 a.m. talking about this stuff.
Holy cow! Holy cow!
Yeah, so
That's
I don't.
crazy.
We're still on the public live lab, so I don't. I'll just kind of briefly relay what we're talking about here. I think
Yeah,
there's a couple theories as to why the Japanese have so forcefully exited the carry trade, and I've noted to everybody here that we've been talking about the carry trade for like a year at Algo Factory, and
yep.
on I've been talking about this on the public live lab that everybody should be watching, and on the videos that I put out on YouTube for everybody to watch. I've been talking about this for like, I don't know, several months. And I told everybody over and over again, when the Japanese yen goes above 152 yen to the dollar, this is a shift. And that shift is going to play out in ways that we do not expect. So,
Yes.
and on top of that, it took another month. They did a second rate hike. Like in 20 years, they did another one and they nuked it. And so I'm looking at like, I don't know if this has to do with like say the US and Japan working together to weaken somebody else. I know Tom Luongo feels that this might be done to weaken some like quote unquote bad people in the US. This might be done. Shoot, man. I mean, this is a great way to put Trump in. If they can kill the market like right before the election and it's not able to recover, it's going to be extremely hard to keep Trump out of office. So, do
It's
you
going to be
care to weigh
impossible at
in
that point.
on like first of all, I know we want to keep some things for the private live lab. We don't want to share all the sauce right here, but before we flip to
Yeah.
private V, what do you want to say about this?
One of the things that you and I have been saying all this year, I said, guys, get ready for the fall of 2024, right? We've been talking about in the fall of 2024, going into 2025. This is going to be the most chaotic time ever. I have a buddy of mine at Goldman, and he texts me. He's like, hey, this is what you've been talking about for the last decade about Japan and mischief engine braking. And I'm like, here we are. And folks don't remember, back in like 2013, I wrote a lengthy article called Japan, the Mischief Engine. I broke down the historic relationship of the United States and Japan and how that financial relationship, that market relationship that played a pivotal role in the collapse of the Soviet Union, right? Utilizing various financial instruments that were at play that caused hyperinflation of the ruble, that helped it to implode, you know. And those instruments that were done on that day, how that led to the Asian economic crisis, and then going forward, led to the various situations we've had. Japan has been a vital third leg in the US dollar empire. There's three pegs to this, folks. Three pegs. The first peg is Japan, and not just the Japanese yen dollar carry trade, but also what also occurs with the Tokyo Stock Exchange and the BOJ. The BOJ also happens to be a very, very useful bolt hole to dump dark dollars, which are USTs that have been dumped because nobody wants them because of de-dollarization. Okay, so that's the other thing. And the third leg of this whole entire situation is the European market. The European bond market is very pivotal to this. These are the three legs. Now, what holds these three legs on the stool together is a specific type of glue, and that glue is called the petrodollar. And July 8th, the Saudis said we're not re-signing that deal. And now we're seeing what's happening with the Japanese market. Now, could this be a move to again the Wall Street saying they don't want a Kamala Harris, a cackling drunk America's wine mom to be president is a sign that yeah,
sorry, bro.
It's,
America's
yeah,
wine
it's
mom.
America's wine mom. You know, she's hammered by 12 p.m. She's unburdened by what has become. So she's burdened by what is, or whatever the hell she says, right? Is it that? Is it like getting rid of nefarious? It could be. It could be. Or there's something greater that's beyond anybody's narrative at this point. What we are witnessing is a decoupling. And this is my take of this. Okay. Is this the big one that we should all be wearing our shitting pants for? The answer is no. This is not the big one. Yeah, the VIX is like up to 60 at this point, right? Someone's manipulating these numbers. Okay. Someone is kicking these numbers up, right? Because look, remember I told you, sell in May, go away. There's really not a lot of bank executives at the helm. The top traders are not at the helm today. It's a slowdown in business right now because it's summer months. So is this the big one? No, it's not the big one. This is the dress rehearsal for the big one. Okay, the dress rehearsal for the big one. And we saw this over the weekend when BTC was nosediving yesterday. Right? I don't even know what BTC is at today. So everybody panicking about this. I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't panic because we're going to have a completely different conversation come by Friday. By Friday or by Thursday, we're going to have a different conversation. You know, and does it also mean that a rate cut's coming? Yep. Rate cut's coming. It's coming. I'm calling it. Beginning of the month's wrong because I'm too damn early about it. But it's coming. Right? The market is running out of steam. They can't keep doing this because it makes no sense. Look, nobody's around, guys. I'm being very honest with you. So who's pushing these numbers around? Who's pushing these numbers around? It's I'm talking to guys who move shit and they're like, what? We're not doing this shit. Like, who's doing this? Right? Could it be a foreign actor? Very possible, because right now this is the Game of Thrones. This is like, 10-card Monty, right? This is us reading somebody else's mail, trying to figure out what the hell's happening, right? Is this the big one? I don't think it is. I think we're seeing the beginnings of what is coming this fall. And I think whatever is going to happen in terms of stabilizing this market is going to happen by the end of this week. That's what we're witnessing here, folks. So what you're seeing here, what Cowboy's running out, remember this patterns. Remember all the charts you'll see today, because you'll see these again in the next few weeks. Cowboy.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Velas contacted me last night, and again, I'd like to relay my fortitude and not bugging you in the middle of the night. But he wants to know if we want to have him on and do a special show today.
Yeah, when?
Today
Yeah.
for just well, actually, I can't. I can't do 9. It might be later. It might not be till like 1 p.m. EST.
That's fine. Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Let's
Cool.
do a special show.
Anything that we want to talk to the public live lab about? March and I are just cracking up here. America's wine mom. It's perfect. Yeah. Is there anything we want to relay to the public before we get into the private live lab and talk the real secret sauce about how we might be able to make some what do you call it, scratch on this move?
Absolutely. Look, what I'll tell you guys in live lab is this.
No, tell them. I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Oh, I would tell you guys to join us. I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. A lot of things are, men's hearts are going to fail them for what is about to come upon this earth, my friends. Men's hearts are going to be failing them for fear about what is going to happen. You and I, all of you guys, whether you like it or not, I've been saying it forever. I always tell people I'm in the chaos business. and business is good. Well, guess
Oh,
what, folks?
hell yeah.
Every single one of you, when you decide to be part of Algo Factory, you join in the chaos business.
Dude,
Learn to profit from what's coming.
oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah.
No, you took a dramatic pause. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
You gotta be ready for my dramatic pauses, bro.
Yeah.
Learn to profit from what's coming. Go ahead, Cowboy.
No, I was just going to say, like, there's this conversation that we have at Algo Factory, right? Like, I know a lot of people, because I'm a smart dude. I know a lot of people are screwing around on pump.fun, buying their meme coin shitters and, trying to gamble their way into some money. And I've been telling people like this whole time, this is not a very likely way in a good market. It's not a likely way to make money in a good market. You have like people telling you that they got a 10x and a 20x or 100x, but the reality is for every one of those, they have about 100 losses and they're behind. They're gamblers. They're like the Vegas crackhead who is telling you they're up, but if you look over time, they're down and they're down a lot. And just because you might have gotten lucky on a meme coin or two, all that time that you spent, and forgive the term, mentally masturbating, thinking that you're a genius trader, not building your algo on pump.fun, now you're going to realize the folly of doing such things. This whole time you could have been building your algo, and this is the time right now. This is the time right now that you could be freaking cashing in because you have algos. You'd be scalping this massive volatility. There's like no better time to trade the FX market or shorting the crypto market for that matter, or shorting stocks or anything. The volatility is all over the place, and only people with algorithms are able to do this without getting wrecked. So, and I mean algorithms, like I just mean a trading plan. I'm not talking about having it coded. I'm not talking about that fancy stuff. I mean a pure, true algorithm where you just have a plan and you stick to it and you execute. That's what we teach. Now, of course, if you want to build something that you can code and have it trade for you, we can put you on the path to that too. But that's not what most people are doing. Most people in Algo Factory is developing their actual algo and trading it manually. And I know a lot of people who've been with us for a long time and their accounts are just rotating around the same number because they're just playing around. I know other guys, they've been building their algos. And if you're watching the afternoon show, they're giving us testimonials about how they're already successful. And it took them some time. It took them a few months. We got one guy, Thinkfree. He did it on 3 hours a week, and I think it took him the better part of a year. But these guys are seeing success, right? Guys and gals. Right. So, dude, trading is not like you're not going to sit in your like cave and click buttons and make money out of nowhere. It takes homework. It takes work. This is not, dude, anybody that tells you, go come trade my system and you'll become rich, that's a freaking scammer. And there's a lot of scamminess.
He's selling you the system and not selling you the wealth generation behind it. No. That's how he got rich, by selling his system.
Yeah. Yeah. Now people will say the same. I had one dude, on a show basically talked about like, why are you selling this if you're such a good trader? I'm like, dude, you never want to have one stream of income. And here's the thing about it. If I'm ever going to capitalize on my knowledge, it's going to be something I'm really good at. So Why not? Why not? My life is trading. I'm in front of the computer all day anyway. I've got trades going and I have to sit there and do nothing and watch them. Might as well do something else. So, don't think that because somebody is doing this kind of thing, it's a scam. But if somebody tells you it's easy, if they know it's not to do it, man, you can like you'll be rich within like a week. That scammer.
That's scammer.
Scammer. Use my system. Like, okay, you could give somebody the best system. But if you do not teach people how to treat trading like a business, if you do not teach people the basics of it, and if you do not teach people the trading psychology and the problems that come along with that, you could have the best system there is and you're still probably going to fail. Like 99% of people are going to fail. And I could tell you almost invariably, 100% of people I know who have failed at trading, it's psychological. It's your psychology game. Like 99% of the time, I'd say 100, psychological. The way you fail at trading is you start to trade and you quit and you don't build a system. Those are the people. Those are the failures. So I've said, what I have to say, but this is the time. And I know I sound like a dick, but put on your big boy pants. Come learn how to trade like an actual trader and, stop screwing around. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the hardest things you'll do, but it's also one of the most rewarding things you're going to do. You're gonna have to put your nose to the grinder, folks. You're gonna have to put your nose to the grinder because party time is surely coming to an end very quickly. All right, man. Let's get into private.
Sounds good. Let's do this real quick here.
Join us or die.